You're still watching the Joy News desk here on the Joy News channel. Now, thousands of students in public pre-tertiary institutions across the country are today without teachers as the strike of 4 teacher unions sets in. The unions, NAGRAT, NAT, TEWU and CCT, say government must pay them 20% of their base pay as an allowance to cushion them against the economic crisis facing the country. We'll take you across the country for an update on the situation in the various schools. First, though, here is Manuel Cranton's report from the declaration.
These are angry workers in Ghana's educational sector who say they will no longer endure the current harsh economic conditions without any cushioning from government. They want to be paid a cost of living allowance of up to 20% of their basic salary, a request government has failed to meet. To press home their demands, they say they are compelled to abandon their post. Thomas Musa is General Secretary of Ghana National Association of Teachers.
By the high level of inflation in the country, the incessant skyrocketing prices of fuel, goods and services have eroded the already woefully so-called salary increase granted us. We are very much appalled at the inaptitude of the government relative to our call for COLA. We have severally, on different platforms and times, made this call, which fell on deaf ears of government. We have decided to embark on a strike action effective today.
Behind these demands are real people who took up the teaching job to make impact. Many of them, like Vida Sapabil, are regretting.
Everybody is struggling. Now it is better. 2 months ago, I was buying 1 tomatoes for 2 cedi. So if I prepare bankun and I want to grind pepper to eat, I have to go and buy 1 tomatoes for 2 cedi. I regret taking to teaching. I have classmates there. After SSS, they didn't continue their education. They went straight to the army. One of them is a WO right now, as I speak. And he's taking 8,000 plus at the end of every month. I have gone to training college. I've gone to the university, done my first degree, done my master's, and I'm still roaming around 2,000. How do I survive? They call for old school meeting. I don't go. The living conditions are 2 different things. When they are come, they are excited, they are talking, and maybe they bring along food and drinks and they are chilling, more relaxed. I can be there, but I won't be relaxed. So I don't even go at all.
Another teacher at the Akrabong Basic School in the Central Region, Amos Amwako, feels neglected by the state, which contracted him to help build future leaders.
I sometimes run my household on loans, and it is not a wise way of living. Because if you are going to take a financial facility or a loan, it should be used for developmental activity. But you go for loans and then you spend it at home. Then you pay interest on it. Then your existence is not even profitable. You don't even feel like you are even existing. If a better job comes, why not? Because a graduate teacher taking home around 2,000. When you do second degree, GES will tell you that they don't recognize it. And the cost of training, courses at the universities are very expensive now. Somebody goes through to do a second degree, and you tell the person that the second degree is not needed at the pre-tertiary level. So then the cost of entering into that course you will not get any productivity out of it. So if a better job comes, why not?
Like Vida and Amos, all workers in the educational sector in NAT, TEWU, CCT, and NAGRAT have been called to proceed on strike, effective immediately.
By this, we are informing the general public that we are withdrawing all our services in all the pre-tertiary education space. Yes. These include teaching and non-teaching staff.
The only thing that will get them back to work is the payment of their COLA. Manuel Cranting, JoyNews, Accra.
Well, this morning, there's an effort to keep the schools open in spite of the strike. The Ghana Education Service has directed heads of the schools to keep them open. The National Labour Commission has also asked government to engage the teacher unions, and we have statement from these two bodies. Now, let's start with a statement from the GES. It says that the management of the Ghana Education Service has read from the media that the various unions in the pre-tertiary education sector have declared withdrawal of their services with immediate effect. Management has since invited the leadership of the unions to a meeting to discuss the development and the way forward. Heads of senior high schools have been directed through the regional and district directors to mobilize their management teams to ensure the safety and well-being of all students in schools. Meanwhile, parents are advised to remain calm and be assured that management is closely monitoring the situation and will advise on the way forward accordingly. Regional and district directors have further been directed to ensure that basic school heads keep schools opened and closely supervise all children who report to school pending further directives from management of GS. And this is signed by Cassandra Chum Ampofo, who is head of public relations. Now, the National Labour Commission has also directed government to immediately meet with the striking workers. According to their statement, will be on your screen shortly. Now, it says that the teacher unions mentioned above have in a joint press conference held today, Monday, 4th July 2022, announced the declaration of strike with immediate effect. Now, the declaration of the strike, according to the statement, is due to what they describe as government's failure to grant them a 20% cost of living allowance in the face of the current high level of inflation, increases in price of goods and services, etc. Now, you're hereby requested to engage the aggrieved teacher unions immediately upon receipt of this correspondence to negotiate settlement of their grievances within 7 days and furnish the commission with a report upon completion. With this intervention, we urge the teacher unions to rescind the decision and discontinue the strike action to pave way for the process of engagement to ensue. Now, we have some of our correspondents on the line to give us some briefs. First, let's start from Martina. Martina, what's the situation like at where you are?
Is that they have admitted a strike, and so all the schools that I've been to like 5 schools. These schools have all closed. You go there and all you see are locked doors. The kids themselves are gone. Just a few hanging around and playing. Apart from that, you don't find any teacher in any of these schools that I have visited. Now, the strike is beginning to have an effect already, because Form 3 students are complaining that they don't have the time to wait, and classes should have been on by now. Their teachers guiding them on what to do. They believe that if this strike should go beyond 2-3 days, it's going to have a total effect on them. Not only they are complaining, food vendors who came to school this morning with food are equally complaining. Some perishable, they can't stay overnight. And so they think that government should address this issue, because it's not only the teachers that it would affect various families who also depend on these schools to sell to be able to take care of their families.
Martina Bugri is our Northern Regional Correspondent. Let's move to Ivy Setoji. Ivy, what's the situation like around your area? Ivy Setoji, if you can hear me, kindly paint for us what the situation is like in your area. All right, so before we move to Ivy, let's bring you a footage of some students in the Volta region and how stranded they are because of the strike.
school do you attend?
Korea.
Eh?
Korea.
Korea. Where is Korea?
Inside the middle of California.
Okay.
So, Ivy, what's the situation like? We just saw a video. How widespread is, the impact of this on students in your area? Ivy, if you can hear me, we want to find out from you how the situation is in your area in the wake of the strike.
Okay, so currently I am at the Volta Basic School, where they are currently having their reading festival. That's some 23 basic schools. So teachers and heads are all here, with the school children all gathered for the reading festival. We understand some of them are also having sporting activities at the Hotspot Stadium. Earlier on, when I visited the Hokoji A and B basic school, I saw the headmistress at the Hokoji A basic school supervising the children, because according to her, the children are already in school, and then it was very necessary for her to make sure that the children are safe. So she was going to wait in the school until every child goes home. The same thing applies to the Hokoji B basic school, where I saw just one teacher with the school children playing. So most of the schools, they had the head and a few teachers supervising just for today, so that the parents will get to know that they are on strike, and then from tomorrow they don't come back to school. So for now, that is what is happening. I've been speaking to the headmistress at the Hokoji A Basic School, and also some of the school children.
Now, from the Volta region, let's move to the Central region, where Richard Kunyako is standing by with update on that. Rich, what is happening in the Central region? All right, so just before we go to the Central region, let's take you to Nanaya Juma in the Ashanti region to find out how the strike is biting in that region. Nanaya, what is the situation like in your area?
So the situation is not different from what's being experienced by other regions. Almost all of the schools in the region that I've visited this morning, Kumasi to be specific, classrooms are open. Some students came to school this morning despite the rain, with the hope of catching their teachers in school and getting the education that they always come to school to receive. But unfortunately, though the classrooms are open, their teachers are nowhere to be found except the head teachers, who are on standby to ensure that the classrooms are open and the students are also safe within the school premises. So I moved from Kasi MA Basic School to Citizenmental MA Basic School, Adibaba Basic School, and also the new Asafo Basic School, and all these schools have the school premises open for just absent. I'm interacting with some of the students, and some told me specifically that the previous day the headmistress announced that they should all be present in school. The classrooms will open. They were not told about the strike by these teachers. So they were coming with the expectation that the teachers will come and things will continue as they've always come to school to meet. But unfortunately, they came with no teacher. But the head teachers are around, but they are yet to communicate anything to these students. And the students, as they always do in the morning, they came out early enough, and some of them started speaking and going about their normal activities. Those in the lower primary and also kindergarten most of them had this morning, due to the absence of teachers, were on the school compound and playing games and indulging in any activity that they would want to. But engaging with those in the upper primary, they told me that if their teachers are absent, they will go about revising what they do and wait for the head teacher to close them for them to go home. So
that's from the Ashanti region. Let's move to their neighbors, the Central region, and speak to Richard Kojiako, who is in the capital, Cape Coast. Kojo, what is the situation in the Central region?
Well, so the strike is in full force. I've been to about 6 schools. Basically, it is the basic schools that are badly affected. The parents brought the children to school, but most of them, they got the signs, and so they had to send back their children. But others remain on the campuses. You go to the schools. I went to St. Lawrence. I went to other schools within the Cape Coast metropolis. The children were seen playing, and so the teachers that are supposed to be in the class were not there. So you could see only the head teachers that are in the school. The doors of the schools were open, but the classroom, because the teachers were not there, the classrooms were not open. So now the students have been told that they are on strike. And so from tomorrow, many of the parents I spoke with said that they were not going to bring the school children to school until they hear that they have called off the strike. At the senior high school level, even though the teachers the teachers there are also part of the strike. Some of the schools I visited that were board in school, the teachers were not in the classrooms though, but the students were in class and they were learning, they were doing the academic activities by themselves. And so that is the nature of the strike as far as the region is concerned.
All right, now moving on to other stories.